Hi everyone. I'm going to go over the guided notes for week 7's assignment on phase change. Because I already shared the Google Slides with you on the guided notes, I'm only going to go over the very last part on the phase change graph because I think that's the part that might be confusing for a lot of you guys. So make sure you get the notes from my Google Slides like this, right? The going over properties of solid, liquid, and gas, and the diagrams. Take a look at the changing states of matter diagram because that has useful information. And then if you come all the way to the end of the slideshow, we have the diagram of the phase change graph for water, right? So this is the only thing that I'm going to go over in this video. All right, so this graph is called a phase change graph for water. Okay, so as you can see, our y-axis has the temperature, and then the x-axis is the heat or the energy added. And you can see there's kind of a slope change overall within the graph. So let's first kind of start with information that we might know, some known facts about water. All right, so water freezes or melts at 0 degrees Celsius. That's a known fact about water. So water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius, right? It would start to freeze once it hits less than 0 degrees Celsius, and then it'll start to melt if it's more than 0 degrees Celsius. And then water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, right? So those are the two important points in this graph. So let's start from number one. So number one, point A to B. So you need to tell me from point A to B what's happening. What state is water going through? So point A to B looks like B is right at 0 degrees Celsius. And we know that at 0 degrees Celsius, water either starts to freeze or starts to melt, depending on like which way is it going. Like, is it going below 0 degrees or above 0 degrees? And it looks like at B, A to B, A has a lower temperature than 0 degrees Celsius. So water is at a solid state, right? At below 0 degrees Celsius, water is frozen. So it's a solid state, okay? So that's number one. Number two, from point B to C, so point B to C is just a flat slope, right? There's no change in temperature. It looks like point B to C is just 0 degrees Celsius, right? So that means water is starting to freeze or starting to melt. But if you read the graph, energy is being added from left to right. So from B to C, we're adding energy, we're adding heat. So from a freezing solid, from a frozen water, ice, if you add more energy to it, more heat to it, point B to C is probably a phase change. It's melting, right? And we can also note that right after point C, the temperature starts to go up rapidly, right? So with more heat, with more energy added in the x-axis direction, obviously the frozen ice would start to melt, okay? So from point C to D, we have a rapid temperature increase, and at point D, water reaches 100 degrees Celsius, at which point water starts to boil. So from point C to D, we have our liquid state, right? Ice melted at point C, and water is liquid, right? It's in the liquid state. So now at point D, it's 100 degrees Celsius, right? 100 degrees Celsius right here. From point D to E, just like our first flat slope, it's probably a phase change, right? And we know that at 100 degrees Celsius, water starts to boil. So when water starts to boil, that phase change is called vaporization. So water is vaporizing because as it starts to boil, the liquid form is going to change into vapor, gas, right? So from point D to E, this is our vaporization. Okay. And now lastly, number 5, at point E, the temperature starts to go up, increase rapidly. At that point, water basically is all boiled off and the liquid form of water has changed into the gas state. All right. So this is how you read a phase change graph for water. There's a similar problem on the assignment that you will have to do. I just hope that you guys can follow along with this video if you have questions about phase change graph. All right.